Okay, hello and welcome back to Knife Chats. I know I just did one 2 days ago, but there were things that I wanted to talk about in that Knife Chat that I just flat out forgot about, or and also some things that came up afterwards from some viewer questions that I thought I would answer real quick. And so that's what this is going to be about. I don't know how long I'll be here, but for a little bit. In any case. The last knife chat was pretty successful. I got the 200, so 2 coins in the jar. So we're that much closer to me sending out a Sodbuster Junior. Also, I will be sending out some stickers pretty soon too. So if you're interested in getting a Knife Chats with Tobias sticker, email me at knife chats, knife_chats, I think that's it, or knife.chats at yahoo.com. I'll put the address in the description below after the chat's over, so the correct email address will be there, but it is knifechats at yahoo.com. I just don't know if there's an underscore or period between the two. Any case, what I missed. Hi, Slick Slicers. I was talking about the 5 videos that I'm sorry, the 5 or some different knife patterns that I wish they would bring back and start issuing again. And one of them was the single-bladed fish knife, like so. And someone had mentioned in the comments that the Air Force emergency knife would be really cool, and that is really what this knife is. It started off that way, and well, actually, it started off like this, and then it changed into the Air Force. Army Air Force emergency fishing knife that was issued during World War II. And actually, that is the one that I wish they would bring back, and it's slightly different than this. Hi BH, and that is this little puppy here. And the difference is it's obviously the same knife. You still have the hook remover down at the end, same style blade and everything, and it still locks, but it's got a clevis at the top. It's actually a removable clevis. So you could pop this off if you don't like it. And to me, this was pure genius. It gives you the ability to attach it to something so you don't lose it. And it's at the correct end of the knife so that when see how the clevis moves, and we all know that with so many knives with the clevis or the bail, whatever you want to call it, they tend to flip over this way, and then when you go to close the knife, the blade clicks right there, and eventually you get that little chip in the blade from all the times that the knife blade ends up hitting the bail. They solved that when they did this because it's on the right end, and it really doesn't interfere with when you're using the knife at all. I mean, got it right there, or you can flip it over, still out of the way. And so this was just pure genius when they decided to put the clevis on this end of the knife instead of on the butt end of the knife. And this is the knife I really wish they would come back out with. The single-bladed fish knife. You got the scaler here. I did mention that you scale with the knife closed so that the blade doesn't catch a bunch of wobbling or anything. This is the one that was used in World War II. The fisherman's luck was around even before World War II and stuck around well into the 80s by Camillus. But no one makes these anymore. I mean, as far as I know. And there's also the less expensive ones that were just plastic scales from end to end. You just don't see them anymore. I know they they sell well on the aftermarket. A lot of people collect them and everything. And that's why I just don't understand why someone is not making the single blade ones. One of the other knives that, hi Chris, one of the other knives that I wanted to mention in there, but I didn't, was the Cub Scout knife. These things are becoming scarcer and scarcer. I actually think that the Boy Scouts of America have stopped making these knives. I think they've moved on to other knives, and once they run out, they're going to run out. I don't know for sure, but I know the 4-blade Boy Scout knives are very difficult to find. They're not listed at the Boy Scouts of America online store. These are still listed there, but I have a feeling with the restructuring of the Boy Scouts, these knives might be disappearing, so they're going to be disappearing for good eventually. And the only people who make this knife are the Boy Scouts. So the Cub Scouts official Cub Scout knife may become a relic of the past soon. They already are not made in the United States, and I don't understand. I've never understood why this knife, it's got a nice little half stop here, and then it's got the other two blades, the two blades that are still actually useful on knives. You've got the punch blade, the cap lifter screwdriver. That's it. Only 3 blades on it. These two have the liner lock to hold them in place. This one has a half stop. I've done plenty of videos on the Cub Scout knives, but the only place you really find these is in the Cub Scouts. They've never just been put out there by a company for people to buy. Unless it's an official Cub Scout knife. I know they were also sold to the wolf cubs up in Canada, and one version was used for the Green Wings, which is for Ducks Unlimited. But no one has ever really bothered to make this knife just for general sells, without the official Cub Scout logo or something like that. And it's really, today, you don't need a can opener anymore, really. So this is a really good pocket-friendly knife, 3 3/8 inches long, so it's a little bit smaller. And you've got the 2 versions here, the camp knife and the utility knife. I'm not exactly sure why no one bothers to just make this knife without the Cub Scout logo. It just seems like a really great knife, and unless it's a Cub Scout knife, you don't find it. I would love to see these things done in something a little bit better, like if Great Eastern were to come out with these with stag handles or something like that, or Rough Rider were to pop these out with a full line one like this with micarta handles. That would be kind of cool. But no, it's an ignored pattern, and it's really a very functional pattern. You see the autism knives are still out there. I thought I'd promote that again. The other thing that I mentioned in the video was my EDC knives. And this is the one I showed, the signature. And the main reason I carry this one is because of the ink pen. And I use it quite frequently. Now, I know a lot of people swap out their EDCs all the time. I tend not to do that. But I could easily do this with this knife if I wanted to. I've got several other 58mm knives that that have the retractable pin on it. I've got this golf knife celebrating GE, General Electric, but it's got this tool. But really, the only reason I'm carrying it is because of, or the only reason I carry it is for the signature or for the ink pen. I did carry this one for a while. This is the Midnight Manager. It's got a little light in it, and it has the retractable pen. And plus a few other tools on there. But the thing I found out is the only thing I was really using it for was the retractable pin, so everything else was excess weight. And the same thing with my Mini Champ. I like the Mini Champ. I bought it. Actually, I got it as a gift for 20 years of service at my work. And one of the things that appeals to me is it has a retractable pen. So any of these would work. I could carry any of these every day because really all I'm looking for is the pen. But that means I have to keep taking this on and off of my keychain. And any of these would also get beat to crap on it. So why bother doing that when I have a perfectly serviceable. This is why I usually don't do things live, because I just can't quite get my words out. Anyway, I've got a completely serviceable 58 millimeter signature that has everything in it that I want. So why, unless it's just to say, oh, look, today I'm carrying my Midnight Manager, or oh, look, today, well, that was the mini champ, or I'm carrying a golf knife today. I'm not carrying, my EDCs are not for bragging about what knives I have. My EDCs are knives that I use. This is geared towards slick slicers right now. He mentioned that he doesn't really, he's got like 2 Spydercos, I think, and he really doesn't like Spydercos. And I can understand his point. I have 2 Spydercos and 1 bird. And I really like my Spyderco. I really like the Dragonfly too. I carry it all the time, and I think it's just the ideal knife for me. I like that I can open it one-handed. I can trust the knife. It works really well. It is super light. A lot of people complain about the FRN handles, but they're super light and they work for me. I like the reversible clip. It's a really good knife for me. The only other Spyderco I have is this little clippy tool. I bought this for my fishing gear because of the scissors on here. I really should clean it up a bit, I guess. I just was recently cutting a bunch of tape with it and everything. And sorry, Patty's potato peelers. I know, why don't show us dirty knives? And I agree with you. I literally was just using this about a half an hour ago, cutting open some boxes and forgot to clean it. But I like this one, and it's a small knife, and that's the thing. Most people are grabbing their para 2s, para 3s, and Delicas and everything else. I'm not going to be collecting Spydercos. Mainly, first of all, they're expensive as all outdoors. So I like the Dragonfly 2, and I use it. I've got the Meadowlark, and this is about as close to I think this is pretty close to a para 2, the way it is laid out and everything. And I like the Meadowlark, but it's bigger than I need for my pocket carry. So I tend to just have it laying around and don't do anything with it. I really like the looks of it and everything, and it works great. I would definitely, if you're interested in, if you're thinking about picking up Spydercos, think about the birds. If you're looking at saving money, that's what I would do. That's why I bought this. And this is also the knife that pretty much convinced me that I don't need to go and get a para 2. This knife is fine. It works. It's 8CR, 13 MOV. I like it, but it's not something that I would be carrying all the time. So that's why it basically said, I really don't need another Spyderco. It's not a knife that I would be collecting. I think traditional pattern knives are more collectible than modern folders. I know a lot of people would disagree with me, especially the fans of modern folders. But for me, the Dragonfly 2 is about as far as I'm going to go into any kind of expensive modern folders. So sorry, Benchmade fans or artisan fans, and quite frankly, those artisans that look like the blade was broke off, I'm sorry, those things are downright ugly. They might be functional, but they are just downright ugly to me. So there's no way in the world I'm going to buy one, especially for the price that they're asking. It was hard enough for me to convince myself to buy a Dragonfly 2, and this is only 60 bucks. I'm really happy I bought it, but I can't see myself buying any other well, I might buy other Dragonflies, but I can't see myself buying other Spydercos. I like this knife. That's what it comes down to. I like the Dragonfly 2. The other knives, I went through all sorts of USA made Spydercos because I really like that tank stamp where it says Golden, Colorado, USA, Earth. I thought that was totally cool. It's a great sales gimmick, USA, Earth. I wish this said Seki City, Japan, Earth, but it's only on the USA made ones that they stamp Earth on it. But I looked at all of them. I don't like the way they look. I'm sure they're great knives, but they just don't appeal to me. And so I can't spend $100+ simply because the knife says USA Earth. It's cool, but not cool enough for me to spend that kind of money on it. Other things, I guess I'll give a preview of a few things to come. Cleaver knives. Got a couple of those. They're fish cleavers. Cleavers are all the big deal these days, so I'll be showing those. And how about a fish knife that looks like a 69 Cadillac? And, oh, I don't know. Got a bunch of new knives that came in that I will be showing real soon, doing some videos. And I'll probably bring those up on the next Knife Chats Live, especially this one here. I was really happy to find that one. And then there's something else that will be coming up real soon, which is Marvel's Wildlife Series Scrimshaw. I will definitely break out one of these right now that I want to show. Because I was mentioning Granddaddy Barlow's, and this is one I picked up a while back from, this is in the Marvel's Wildlife Series. A lot of people say that the quality of the Marvel's knives is really not up to snuff. I have not found that to be the case, at least in my feeling. Mainly, they're made in the same factory as Rough Rider knives, and they have always been made there because, or the Chinese made ones have always been made there because when Smoky Mountain Knife Works picked up the Marvel's brand, they moved production there. So they went from Gladstone, Michigan to the Smoky Mountain Knife Works factory in China. And this one, if you notice, it's got a nice half stop on there. You've got the swedge up on top. You got a piece of stag there, and the reason I bought it is right there because of the trash pandas. I like raccoons. I don't know, I just do. I'm fascinated by them, fascinated by the way they live, how they work, and everything else. You can find them just about anywhere in America. They have adapted well to city living. They do really great out in the country as well. So really just a fantastic animal. Yeah, a nuisance animal, but I thought these were pretty good. You got nice white smooth bone handle. You've got the little piece of stag up there, and then you've got a really nice divider there, or whatever you want to call it. You got the piece of black, I think it was G10 or something, and then the nickel silver in there, and a really nice bolster up on top. The only thing lacking on here is I wish they would have put like a Marvel's tang or Marvel stamp up there. They do have the blade mark here, and it does say Marvel's quality knife, and that is that's actually I'm usually not crazy about blade edges because they wear off and everything, but this is just a blade edge that Marvel's puts on all of their knives, and you know, it's kind of like the official Cub Scout knife logo or blade edge. It's very light. It's going to rub off. There's no doubt about it. It'll be definitely a sign of use on the knife. So if you find one without the blade edge, it's been used. That's basically what you're going to be able to tell from that. Fit and finish of the knife is not bad. Looks like there's a gap. There's a little bit of a gap right there in the stag. You can catch it with your thumbnail, but it is smooth transition from side to side. Gap is not as bad there. Other than that gap there, though, really nice, you know. And at the time I bought this, it was like a $15 knife, so it wasn't expensive or anything. And it's a really good looking Granddaddy Barlow with some nice trash pandas laser etched into the white smooth bone. And you know, big knife, really big knife. I got a few other ones in the Scrimshaw series that I'll show later, but just because the last Knife Chats was about Granddaddy Barlow's, I thought I'd break this one out and show it right now too. Any case, that's all for now. I will have another live Knife Chats sometime coming up next week. It will not probably be on Thursday because of it being Thanksgiving in America. So it probably won't be on that day, but it'll be sometime during the week. I do have a show premiering tomorrow. I can't remember what it's called, but it'll be around this time. Well, around 11:30 tomorrow sometime. And then I've got something else coming up on Wednesday and Friday that are already pre-recorded, so you won't hear me stumbling over myself as much. Oh, the other thing, this knife here, the Boy Scouts of America Stanhope bartender knife with a corkscrew. Someone mentioned leave it to Frost to promote an alcoholic knife for the Boy Scouts of America. And really, when you think about it, it is absolutely funny. Even though they called it a fountain knife and they changed out the label cutter with a bottle opener that actually can also kind of act as a bit of a label cutter. Seriously, a bartender knife for Boy Scouts of America. And it led me to think about what I thought about a long time ago is why in the world didn't they swap out this corkscrew with something else? And there were several things that they could do. This corkscrew is a bear to open, but why didn't they? Why didn't they put a like very common in Swiss Army knives? If you don't have a corkscrew, you got a Phillips screwdriver. Why didn't they put a Phillips screwdriver on the end? That would have made a lot more sense than leaving a corkscrew on a Boy Scout knife. The other option is they could have also put a whistle here. Boy Scouts can use a whistle if they're out there camping more than they can use the corkscrew. So they could have actually put a whistle on the end of this knife, and instead of a corkscrew, and then it would not have been nearly as problematic giving a Stanhope bartender knife to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Boy Scouts of America. Really nice looking knife, but to me it would have made more sense to either put a Phillips driver here or a whistle for a Boy Scout knife. And those are the kind of things that I could see doing with this kind of Stanhope bartender knife. A lot of people are not interested in a corkscrew, but you could swap this corkscrew out with a variety of other things if you were to try and reintroduce this line. And two things that come to mind right off the top of my head are a Phillips driver or a fold down whistle. Because then it becomes a much more useful knife. And you could also change one of the pin blade out with a little coping blade, or a secondary serrated blade. So there's a lot of things that you could do with this Stanhope frame that would make it really interesting and something that would be more appealing than just a bartender knife. And thankfully, I remembered this before I said goodbye this time, because that was the other thing I really wanted to talk about, is the stupidity of issuing or making a bartender knife for the Boy Scouts when they could have easily made some changes on there. Yeah, I think a whistle makes a lot more sense for a Stanhope knife for the Boy Scouts. And I do like this one. It was like one of 10,000, so there's 9,999 more of them floating around out there that people have, but mine is this one. And like I said, the other knives, somebody really needs to step up their game and think about coming out with the official Cub Scout knife in an unofficial form. It's really a terrific camp knife, and it has the three tools that people really can use today. You don't need a can opener anymore, but the other two blades on here do make sense to still have. And this would be my ideal for the single bladed fish knife, especially if you have the clevis on the end. Otherwise, I'll let you go. Thanks for dropping by. And thanks for putting up with my chattering and my losing of thought. And I will talk to you again very soon.